So today's story from 101 Arabian Night Stories is the story of the donkey and the bull. You must know that a certain merchant had both wealth and animals, and had been given by Almighty God a knowledge of the languages of birds and bees. He lived in a country and had at home a donkey and a bull. One day the bull went to the donkey's quarters and found them swept out and sprinkled with water. There was sieved barley and straw in his trough, while the donkey was lying there at ease. At times his master would ride him out on some errand, but then he would be taken back. One day the merchant heard the bull say to the donkey, "I congratulate you. Here I am tired out while you are at your ease, eating sieved barley. On occasion the master puts you to use, riding on you but then bringing you back again, whereas I am always out ploughing and grinding corn." The donkey replied, "When they put a yoke on your neck and want to take you out to the field, don't get up, even if they beat you, or else get up and lie down again. And when they bring you back and put beans down for you, pretend to be sick and don't eat them. For 1, 2, or 3 days, neither eat nor drink, and you will have a rest from your hard labour." The next day, when the herdsman brought the bull his supper, the creature only ate a little, and the next morning, when the man came to the bull to do the ploughing, he found him sick and sadly. This was why he could not work properly yesterday. He went to the merchant and told him, "Master, the bull is unwell and didn't eat any of his food yesterday evening." The merchant realized what had happened and had said, "Go and take donkey to do the ploughing all day in his place." When the donkey came back in the evening, after having been used for ploughing all day, the bull thanked him for his kindness in having given a day's rest, to which the donkey, filled with the bitterest regret, made no reply. The next morning the herdsman came and took him out to plough until evening, and when donkey got back, his neck had been rubbed raw and he was half dead with tiredness. When the bull saw him, he thanked and praised him, but donkey said, "I was sitting at my ease, but was unable to mind my own business." He then went on, "I have some advice for you. I heard our master say that if you don't get up, you are to be given to the butcher to be slaughtered, and your hide is to be cut into pieces. I am afraid for you, so I have given you this advice." When the bull heard what donkey had to say, he thanked him, and said, "Tomorrow I'll go out with the men." He then finished off his food, using his tongue to lick the manger. While all this was going on, the merchant was listening to what the animals were saying. The next morning, he and his wife went out and sat by the byre as the herdsman arrived and took the bull out. When the bull saw his master, he flourished his tail, farted, and galloped off, leaving the man laughing so much that he collapsed on the ground. His wife asked why, and he told her, "I was laughing because of something secret that I saw and heard, but I can't tell you or else I shall die." "Well, even if you do die," she insisted, "you must tell me the reason for this." He repeated that he could not do it for fear of death, but she said, "You were laughing at me," and she went on insisting obstinately until she got the better of him. In distress, he summoned his children and sent for the Qadi and the notaries with the intention of leaving his final instructions before telling his wife the secret and then dying. He had a deep love for her, she being his cousin and the mother of his children, while he himself was 120 years old. When all his family and his neighbours were gathered together, he explained he had something to say to them, but if he told the secret to anyone, he would die. Everyone there urged his wife not to press him, and so bring about the death of her husband and the father of her children. But she said, "I am not going to stop until he tells me, and I shall let him die." At that moment the others stayed silent while the merchant got up and went to the byre to perform the ritual ablution, after which he would return to them and die. The merchant had a cock and 50 hens, together with a dog, and he heard the dog abusing the cock, saying, "You must be cheerful, but here is our master about to die." When the cock asked why this was, the dog told him the whole story. "By God," explained the cock, "he must be weak in the head. I have 50 wives, and I keep them contented and at peace, while he only has one, and he can't keep her in order. Why doesn't he get some mulberry twigs, take her into a room, and beat her until she either dies or repents and doesn't ask him again?" The vizier now said to his daughter Shahrazad, "I shall treat you as that man treated his wife." "What did he do?" she asked, and he went on. When he heard what the cock had to say to the dog, he cut some mulberry twigs and hid them in a room, where he took his wife. "Come," he said, "so that I can speak to you in here, and then die with no one looking on." She went in with him, and he locked the door on her and started beating her until she fainted. "I take it all back," she then said, and she kissed his hands and feet, and after which she had repented. She and her husband went out to the delight of their family and the others there. They lived until the happiest of circumstances, until their death. Shahrazad listened to what her father had to say, but she still insisted on her plan. And so he decked her out and took her to the King Shahryar, and said she had given instructions to her younger sister Dunyazad, explaining, "When I go to the king, I shall send for you. You must come, and when you see that the king has done what he wants with me, you are to say, 'Tell me a story, sister, so as to pass the waking part of the night. I shall then tell you a tale which, God willing, will save us.'" Shahrazad was now taken by her father to the king to be married. The king was pleased to see her, and asked the vizier, "Have you brought what I want?" When the vizier said yes, and the king was about to lie with Shahrazad, but she shed tears, and when he asked her what was wrong, she told him, "I have a younger sister, and I want to say goodbye to her." At that the king sent for Dunyazad, and when she embraced Shahrazad, she took a seat beneath the bed. And when the king got up and deflowered her sister, they then sat talking, and Dunyazad asked Shahrazad to tell a story to pass the waking hours of the night. "With the greatest pleasure," replied Shahrazad, "if our cultured king gives me permission." The king was restless, and when he heard what the sisters had to say, he was glad at the thought of listening to a story, and so he gave permission to Shahrazad to tell the story, and so she began. So we will find out next time what the story was.